Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. In the first of many information sessions that the DRD will present during the year. Today we'll focus on national funding opportunities, and later during the year we'll also present on university funding and also on international funding opportunities. Just some quick arrangements. Please keep your microphone muted until at the very end. We will invite questions, and you can raise your hand, or please also use the chat to list your question, and we'll deal with it at the end. We can share the slides with you afterwards, and this is also being recorded. So yes, let's kick off. Can we move forward, Shannon? Yeah, just to introduce ourselves, I'm Marlene Forshire, and with me are Shannon Faro and Dominic Meyer, who will present with me. So there are several organisations that fund research in South Africa. Our main funder is the NRF, who also acts as an agent for the CSRI and for SASL. Then there's also the South African Medical Research Council, which from the name you can hear that funds health research. CANSA, the Water Research Commission, the HSRC, and then other smaller ones which we won't focus on today, but which you can always contact us if you've got queries about it. So just more on the NRF. I've put the web link there about the NRF. It's a statutory body, and it's basically the funding arm of the DSI, the Department of Science and Innovation, but they also deal with funding sometimes from some of the other government departments. Really, but sometimes they do. And just to emphasise a mandate on human capacity development. So they want to see master students and PhD students trained, and they are also the success is judged on that. So any funding that I provide, there will be an emphasis on student training. And they also increasingly have a focus on science engagement. So any proposal that you write will have that included in it. So please think broadly when you think about developing an application for NRF funding. Dominic will now provide more specifics on NRF funding.
Thank you. So every year, NRF releases a general application guide, which lists all the calls that will be coming out that year. There is a link. Oh, someone. Okay. Yes, there at the top there's a link. So what is on the screen right now is last year's. We do not have this year's yet, but this is just an example of how it looks. So it will have the date when it opens, when it closes, the applicant date, as well as the results, when results should be announced. But yes, the next slide. So you'll see there are different categories. So the previous one was research grants, and this one is travel and training. It will be released at the end of February, and it will be updated regularly through the year. So for the guidelines themselves for individual programs, you can find them on the NRF website. There's the link as well. And yes, so that's just... So the application itself, when you go onto NRF Connect, to find the applications, you'll see on the right ribbon, at the bottom, there's my applications and then applications, and you'll find each specific call under the category that is in the guidelines. So in the guidelines, it will say it's a concept notes or institutional grants, and each application, each program then under that will fall under each category there. So you'll just press the plus button and it will show all the programs under that. So the first program I'll be speaking about is Tutuka, which is an early career funding program. It's a 3-year project funding for academic staff, so permanent or contract, and your contract has to extend to the end of your project. We have 3 categories: PhD track to complete your PhD degree, post-PhD is if you've received your PhD within 5 years before the application date, and then NRF rating, which is if you've received your PhD within 8 years, but it's only for researchers who want to get back into academia. So let's say you've been out of academia for family responsibility, or you've worked in industry, and you are coming back to the university to do research, and then you can apply under the rating. So the eligibility for nationality is South African citizen or permanent resident. You have to be younger than 45 years, and this is a co-funding. So the university will fund half of the projects, and NRF will fund the other half. So this is just a breakdown of the funding that you can ask for. You can ask for 100,000 in running expenses, and 50,000 in equipment. And your co-funding will come in the subcommittee that you fall under, so subcommittee A, B, or C, depending on what department or faculty you come from. And then also there are some faculty funding available as well. Some faculties fund only if the first year, only if you're successful. And then with other faculties, it depends on the availability of funds. So this is what the budget breakdown looks like. So it's just your research equipment, 50,000 as I mentioned, and then each category under running expenses has a max that you can ask for within your budget. But that is something that we will help you with when the time comes. And then we also have the Black Academic Advancement Program. So this is specifically for Black South Africans, so BIC, Black, Indian and Colored South Africans, and South Africans with disabilities. It is also a max 3-year grant, and we have PhD track, similarly to Tutuka, where it's you to finish your PhD, and you can ask for funding from 6 months to 3 years. And then post-PhD track is having your PhD for no more than 5 years, and for both categories, you have to be younger than 45 years old. The funding is 100,000 for running expenses per year, and then you can get also 200,000 per year for lecture replacement, which Tuka doesn't have lecture replacement, but BARP has lecture replacement. So this is just the categories that you can ask for under BARP. So you have your running expenses, which includes materials and supplies, travel, equipment, science engagement, and research assistance. And then you have your lecture replacement. So the NGAP research development call program is a closed call. It's only for NGAP lecturers within their first and the second year of the appointment, and it's for research development. It is open right now. So if you are on NGAP lecturer and you haven't, I did send it to them, but if you didn't receive it, please let me know. Similarly, PhD track and post-PhD track. Same eligibility as Tutuka and Bob, but just you'll see it's less funding. So this is the travel, training and conferences section. We have the KC and it has 4 categories. The first one is for researchers to present at scientific events or conferences, symposiums or workshops internationally or locally, and it funds up to 50,000. The second category is visiting a foreign researcher, which is to host a researcher at Stellenbosch. The third one is African interaction, and this is to travel to an African country for research collaboration. And NRF has a list of African countries that fall under this. It will be at the end of the guidelines. And then the last one is to host a local scientific event, so conference, symposium, or the next round will open, which will open in August, will cover from January to June the next year. So if you have a conference that you are planning on going to, you have to apply well in advance for funding.
Well,
Yeah, just give us a moment.
Dominique, we'll try and sort this out. There's a question on the 5-year post-PhD. We need to.
You muted still?
Is it? It's fixed now.
Okay.
Great, thanks.
Okay.
So Dominique, just an explanation of the 5 years of the PhD. How does it work? Is it if you receive your PhD in December 2020, then you can apply until 2025?
Yes. So if you receive your degree in December, then it's 5 years from technically from the January onwards. So they do specify in the guidelines just to make sure
The exact
dates. So they'll say you can apply if you have your PhD within the last. They'll give a date. So they will each year they update that. So yes. Okay, so we can go on. So the DSI NRF Conference Fund. This is to host a conference, a large conference of a minimum of 500 participants. At least 25% of your speakers, so your keynote speakers, your presenters, etc., has to be from other African countries, excluding South Africans. You can ask for a max of 2 million rand for the conference, and this fund is for 20 conferences in 2025. So it's not for conferences in 2024, it's for the next year. And the categories you can ask for funding, venue and or equipment, as well as bursaries to participation. So if you want students to participate in the conference, you can ask for that. You can ask for the keynote speakers travel funding, but only for keynote speakers and participants from Africa. The budget is very limited, so it is very important for your application to be complete and well written and include African speakers, because that is something that they focus on. So then we have the NRF-DFG partnership. So this is a fund for a workshop to prepare a proposal for the bigger bilateral that should come out maybe in the second semester, I think. So you can ask for funding if you and a German partner, so it's basically German universities, want to apply for the bigger IRTG program. You can ask for money so that you can meet those partners and have a proposal workshop, and it funds up to 50,000. And then we have the International Science Council, and this is specifically for researchers affiliated to a organization within the International Science Council. So the International Science Council is the kind of umbrella, and then under that you have smaller councils and organizations, and if you are part of that. So you can ask for a travel grant, hosting a local event, or hosting a specific ISC committee meeting. And then, sorry, we have the equipment-related travel and training. Sorry. So this is, so the equipment-related travel grants is if you or a PhD student want to use a specific, specialized equipment that's not in South Africa. So, or is not within Stellenbosch University. So it's local and international, and you would like to use it for your research. So then you can ask for funding for that. And then the training grants is if there is a piece of equipment at a different university in South Africa or internationally that you need training on, then that also, that's the training grants. And so for the local, they cover airfare, accommodation, subsistence, and travel allowances. And international travel is case by case. So you can ask for everything, and then they will say what they will be funding. So the bilateral calls, we don't have a list yet. At the moment, it's the only SA Norway that's open, and then the rest of the bilaterals we are waiting for the general guideline. So we can't say at this moment which calls will open because it changes every year. So the calls that were released last year isn't necessarily going to be open this year. So that's just, yeah, we will send that out as soon as it comes up.
Thanks, Dominique. We often get queries about SARCI grants, South African Research Initiative. So I thought I would just quickly touch on that. So we received our first SARCI grants in 2006, and then the total grant amount was 2.5 million rand per year for a tier 1 chair. In the most recent SARCI calls, the total grant amount was 2.18 million, excluding bursaries, of course, now. So you can see that a SARCI grant in 2006 and a SARCI grant in 2024 is not the same thing. It used to be a huge grant, very prestigious and very competitive. It's still prestigious, competitive, but it won't fund your full research program. So, and the SARCI grant is supposed to cover your salary, but at a limited amount. So the faculty must still co-fund your salaries. So at this stage, all SARCI grants are co-funded, and this is then also what any such call will be sent out via the Deans, because that and they must be willing to go for the grant. In the past 10 years, well, up close to 10 years, we haven't had an open search call where anybody from any field could apply. Only the directed calls based on funding from other sources like CANSA or the Water Research Commission. So just I often get queries. We haven't had any indication of an open search call. So there might still be the directed calls, but those will be advertised via the Deans.
So just to cover the research grants, we've got the support for rated researchers, which is full-time employees at an NRF-recognized research institution in South Africa who hold a valid NRF rating at the time of the application. This is different to the support for unrated researchers, where they do not hold a valid rating at the time of application. It's important to note with the unrated researchers applications, this grant can only be held once. After that, you will then need to apply for rating and apply via the rated call or the next one, which is the support for Y-rated researchers. So these are for researchers who hold a valid Y rating at the time of the application. Another one of the research grants that tends to come out yearly is the Foundational Biodiversity Information Program, small grants. They tend to come out each year, and the FBIP is sometimes once or sometimes twice a year for the small grants. Calls open around February and March, so we are still expecting when the calls will open, like Dominic mentioned. We do not yet know the date. We also have the CSIR laser programs. So the National Laser Center, which is a rental pool program. This is focused on supporting laser-related research in all research areas of the natural sciences, engineering, and health sciences field. Then we have the African Laser Center, which is a research collaboration program. This focuses on the promotion of laser and laser-related research on the African continent for the purpose to stimulate and grow laser research programs within the African continent. Then just to go on to the SAMRC, the SAMRC provides funding for health research both locally and internationally to access necessary resources and facilities. The grant that comes out every year is the Self-Initiated Research Grant Program, which is designed to support original research in various areas of health. Listed here below are the research priority areas that we had in 2023. So applications are invited in two different categories, which is the early researchers category and the mid-level and established researchers category. I have put in a picture of what the SAMRC defines as early career and what is mid-level and established career. The focus of the call is actually for early career, but mid-level and established researchers are invited to apply, provided that there is a clear focus of capacity development. The calls generally come out May, which closes in June each year. The amount is 200,000 per year for 3 years, so a total budget of 600,000 for the 3 years. Looking at eligibility, is generally aimed at investigators at SA universities and other public research organizations. You have to be a SA citizen or a permanent resident, permanently employed at the recognized research institution or be in a long-term contract, at least for the duration of your project. Early stage investigators must be a commitment from the institution to host the applicant and the project for the duration of the grant. So the allowable costs for the SIR grants are consumables or running costs, research travel at a maximum of 40,000, research assistance at a maximum of 20,000, minor equipment at the maximum of 20,000, and bursary supplementation at the maximum of 20,000. I have provided the link for the SAMRC website where it will be published when the call opens. Then we look at the Cancer Association of South Africa. This is type A projects, which is aimed at MB, CHMB, and PhD cancer researchers at SA universities and research organization. The cancer focuses on supporting research areas. These were the ones that were last year, or the last call that they had. These were the focus areas. So looking at eligibility for the cancer grants, only applicants from SA or permanent residents with proof of permanent residency can apply. You must be in full-time employment with at least 80% of the PI's time in SA is required. The applicant must be an independent researcher, preferably with a PhD degree. Applications for clinical researchers holding an MB, CHMB, or equivalent degree with evidence of leading research projects and first author publication in accredited peer-reviewed journal is also considered. What will CANSA fund? CANSA will fund projects to a maximum of 1 million per annum for 3 years. It will fund 75% of the grant. The applicant is requested to therefore ask the institution for the remaining 25%. So with the cancer grant, 75% will come from CANSA and 25% you'll have to ask the institution to cover. So allowable costs, these are just the allowable costs that CANSA does. And I've provided the link as well at the bottom for type A funding. However, at the moment, it seems like there won't be a cancer type A grant for the year. CANSA has said that they are still discussing this. So once we know further information, we will then send, if there is a call, we'll send it out. Then we have the Water Research Commission. So the Water Research Commission promotes coordination, cooperation, and communication in the area of water research. They have various calls, which can be open calls, directed calls, and you can see the screenshot below this. Open calls or special calls. There was international calls last year as well, and I've provided the link.
Okay, so the HSRC funds interns, and they open a call every 2 years, and they then fund the interns for 2 years too. So we had a call last year, and we expect the next call in 2024. They sometimes do have smaller little calls focused in specific areas. In that case, we'll contact the relevant departments or faculties, and please be on the lookout for an email from the Vetlo, who's also joined us, and it deals with the interns. Just in 2023, 38 Stellenbosch University has applied to us up to 64 interns, and we were only awarded 8 positions. So it's and this is similar to the 2021 call, where we had even more applications. So it's a very, very competitive program. It's not only the 26 universities who compete for this. It's also the science councils and businesses. So the intent is for unemployed graduates to gain experience. So anybody can act as host. I've put a link there to where you can read more about it. But if you have questions about it, please contact Libert.
So this is the HB and MJ Tom study leave, and this funds study leave for longer than 3 months, and it is specifically for C1 academic staff, and you have to have at least 30% of your study leave has to be international travel. It funds up to 80,000 and it will open in October.
And that's and that's that Dominique has been responding to questions in the chat, but if anybody else has a question, please, and you can raise your hand, or you can just switch on your camera and speak to us. Do you want to stop sharing so you can see that? Seeing anybody yet? And Dominique, you've been responding to everything. Yeah. Okay. Is Habitum available for other colleagues?
Yes.
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 Please. Please apply.
Yes.
As with the Habitum is I'm funding from a inheritance, what do you call it? So that will help to manage, and we definitely want to also support younger researchers. So, but Professor Tom was a professor in history, so that will give a clue to what type of research it will has a better chance of being funding. But we do look at applications from any field of research. There's a hand. Okay, please.
Hi, yeah. I want to go and present at an international conference, and I've sent in my abstract, and it's been, so far, it cannot be accepted unless I can pay for registration. And of course, it's sort of a catch-22. So I'm very interested in this KIC funding. I just couldn't quite understand how it works. So I've sent in the abstract, but it won't be considered unless I pay the registration fee. I can't pay the registration fee unless I raise some funds. So could you give me some advice about how this works?
So, Trish, this is unusual for a conference to ask for the registration fee upfront. Please just check in with senior researchers in your field whether this is not perhaps a predatory conference. If it's not, then consider asking your department or faculty to assist you with that part of the funding, and then you apply for the rest later on. But that's very, very unusual for a conference to ask for funding to just consider your abstract. So please be careful, because they are indeed predatory conferences as well, not just journals.
No, this is actually the International Geographical Union, and 2 of my colleagues are actually going, but they have their own research funds, so they're paying out of their research funds. I don't have enough research funds, so I'm looking for funds. So that's
where the document is funding those. So that's based on your publication outputs, and a part of that funding is results from students that publish or staff that has left university, and that's available to the department. So please, speak to your HOD about them funding you for that, and you'll then, when you publish, also contribute to the fund. So.
Yeah. So just to go back to KIC, I don't think I mentioned this. So the eligibility, you have to have a PhD to apply for any of the categories, but you can also apply on behalf of a PhD student. So if you have a PhD student that's going to a conference, presenting at a conference, you can also apply on their behalf. So you can either apply on their behalf only for them, or you can apply for both of you in one application. I just thought that
Dominic, there's another question on specific travel opportunities for early career academics.
We don't have one for only for early career academics. We don't have that many travel grants. We only have the KIC, the equipment related, and then from our office we have the DRD.
The DRD fund, which we always say is early career academics will be given preference, but always please think about applying for a TICO grant or for NRF unrated grant, which as apart from your usual running costs for field work, you can also apply for travel funds. So in that case, you know you've got funding for the next 3 years if you get the grant. So let's think bigger and Okay. Any other questions? Nothing else. Okay, that was quick. If you have any other questions, you're welcome to send us an email. And you can send to any of us or to research at Sun. Or still pop questions in the chat. We'll keep looking at this and respond. NRF specific bursaries for MSc students not accepted by the NRF. Those you can talk to your faculty. They are bursaries, university bursaries, but those are managed by the faculties. So please talk to the faculty. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and please join us for the presentations on international funding and for university funding later on.